So, welcome back to Grounded, home of mindfulness, meditation, self-exploration. Now, today's video is in regards to a question I had in the question box, which I've been leaving in story. I will continue to do so. So, any other questions you have, fire them in there, and I will try to answer them for you. But this video today, I wanted to create because I thought the question deemed a decent answer. So the question was, what is mindfulness? And I really want to try to help break down what mindfulness truly means. The first thing I want to distinguish is the difference between mindfulness and meditation. So mindfulness is a daily practice, is an ongoing practice. It's becoming aware of yourself all of the time. Internally monitoring what is arising, internally monitoring how you're reacting. Whereas meditation is time that you've given to sit and to be. So mindfulness and meditation, there is a distinction between the two. Mindfulness is minute to minute, moment to moment. Meditation is time you've set aside to sit and be. So I want to explain a little bit more about mindfulness and explain a little bit about the layers and the depth that mindfulness offers. Now I'm going to start off with the first thing, and the first thing is there's generally two kinds of callings. The first one is the seeker. And the seeker is the person that has the desire to find the truth. They question reality, and there's a deep urge, a deep drive in them to continuously obtain information that's going to help them distinguish or help them realize more and more truth. This kind of person, the seeker, is inevitably going to find self-realization because the calling comes from deep within, comes from life itself. And a seeker is highly receptive. So when they start soaking up information on spirituality or information on awakening and self-realization, they will be highly receptive to that information. The other kind of person that we have is escapism. Now this is the person that seeks peace of mind. This is the person that seeks an end or a rest to their emotions, to their restlessness, to their problematic thinking. And this person isn't necessarily that receptive because they're using or they're looking at mindfulness as a way to escape themselves. Now the big difference between the two is the receptivity. Somebody that's just taken on mindfulness for escapism is going to have less receptivity. That's not to say that they're not going to get onto mindfulness and that mindfulness is not going to offer them a platform for real self-exploration. But generally the person with escapism that's trying to escape themselves is generally less receptive. And being less receptive means that you're going to skip on past. You're not going to be open. You're not going to be able to receive enough information to help self-realization. So it's important to know where you are with these two. So you're either the seeker, which is highly receptive, or you're in a state of escapism, to which mindfulness and meditation will be brushed aside a lot more easier. So once you've realised, or once you know which sort of pot you fall in, you can then begin to open up to the levels of mindfulness. Now mindfulness is all about observation. It's all observation on every level, no matter how deep you go until you reach stage 3, everything is observational. So in the first stage of self-awareness, we are beginning to become more aware of our mind and emotions. So we're beginning to, instead of being our mind and emotions and not actually truly question our mind and emotions, we're beginning to step outside of our mind and emotions. That means we're beginning to observe our thoughts and our emotions. We're beginning to observe our patterns of behavior. And then we also begin to become more aware of our emotional reactions. So we're beginning to question ourselves. We're beginning to observe ourselves. We're beginning to dive a little bit deeper into the nature of our sense of self. And as I put on the bottom, so we're looking at awareness, becoming more self-aware of your mind and emotions. We're beginning to step outside of our sense of self. And instead of just being these programs, instead of just being these patterns of behavior, we're beginning to observe. So that's stage one in mindfulness. Now, as you begin to observe your thoughts and emotions, you begin to challenge your sense of self. What actually happens is, as you challenge that more, as you become more and more aware of your thoughts and emotions, you begin to step outside of them. And as you begin to step outside of them, awareness itself, that which is watching mind and emotions, begins to become self-aware. So as we begin to observe ourselves and move into the second stage, that which is observing mind and emotions begins to observe its own nature. So awareness, now no longer so focused on mind and emotions, then begins to become aware of awareness itself. So awareness then starts to become self-aware. And this is stage two. In stage two, awareness is becoming self-aware. Not only is it becoming self-aware, but pure awareness and the state of stillness is beginning to be more recognized. You're having longer periods of stillness. You're having longer periods of uninterrupted self-awareness. So awareness is now beginning to generate awareness of itself. And this is the stage in which the sense of self begins to dissolve. Because as awareness becomes self-aware, it becomes more aware of that which is arising within it, which is your thoughts and emotions, which is your sense of self. And as it begins to become more aware of it, it begins to separate more and more from that sense of self. So as awareness becomes more self-aware, the sense of self, that personal sense of self, which you were so contained in, which awareness was so identified with, begins to dissolve. So you're moving from this thought and emotional based reality and more into a reality of awareness, of pure stillness, of pure awareness. You're becoming more conscious of consciousness itself. You're becoming more conscious of life. And that is represented in your daily living, in your daily life, as existing more and more in a state of just awareness, just pure awareness. But in stage two, it's still awareness reflecting on awareness. So the merge hasn't, it's awareness becoming aware of life. It's awareness becoming aware of its own essence. But it hasn't fully merged. It's still observing. Now in stage three, the third stage, is awareness is, there's no longer the subject and the object, or there's no longer the awareness aware of awareness. It's awareness merging with the one, merging with consciousness itself. So it's no longer consciousness observing consciousness. The awareness is moving in to full union. And that is what brings about true self-realization. So awareness merges into complete union. So there's no longer awareness aware of awareness. It's just pure awareness. And in a state of pure awareness, all that remains is just being. This is pure being. You no longer need to reflect on awareness. You are so conscious of yourself that point of awareness is now pulling back into the union of all. And that leaves just a pure state of being. You are now, in this stage, one with the intelligence of life. So in stage two, your awareness becoming self-aware. And in stage 3, your awareness begins to merge into a state of just pure being. And in a state of pure being is the total liberation from yourself and the total liberation from that point of awareness. Because when awareness is becoming self-aware, there's still 2 points. And in the 3rd stage, all points are dissolved. And there is just what remains, which is life, the intelligence of life. You have merged completely with consciousness. And that's awakening. But these are the steps. This is what mindfulness truly has to offer. Now, we think mindfulness is all about being at peace. But true mindfulness brings us to the complete realization of life itself, of consciousness itself. And it's at stage 2 and 3 that a human being, when it becomes self-aware, aware of life, begins to blossom, begins to become transparent. You're becoming transparent to life, becoming transparent to the One. And that is pure being. And that is complete harmony. And that is reflected external in your life as complete harmony. Because you are in complete harmony within. So that's a little bit of an understanding of mindfulness. And obviously I shall go into more depths on certain points. This is just sort of like a rough sort of guide to what mindfulness truly is and what mindfulness truly offers. To the next one, much love.